welcome to another episode of Focus on Tomorrow. Focus on Tomorrow is a nonprofit located in Chicago, Illinois. You can find us on the web at www.focus-on-tomorrow.org, or you can email us at info@focus-on-tomorrow.org. I'm your host, Alma, and today we have one of our newest members, Isabel. Hi, Isabel. How are you?
Good.
So, tell us why you chose to be a part of Focus on Tomorrow.
Well, I go to school for musical theater, and I've spent a lot of time performing and being in front of the camera, and I wanted to see how it would be to be behind it and kind of understand how that whole aspect of it works.
How did you learn about us?
Well, I was on the ASM website, and I saw it, and I was like, okay, this seems cool. Let me apply for it.
So, what projects have you worked on so far?
Well, specifically, I'm working on a theater one, specifically about the Goodman Theater and about social justice through theater and how that impacts the world, and in turn, the world impacts that art.
Okay, looks like we have a clip of it. Let's check it out.
Focus on tomorrow. Focus on tomorrow.
More than 200 small but critically acclaimed theaters call Chicago home. With so many focuses, some comedic, dramatic, musical, improvisational, etc., Chicago truly is a melting pot of artistic talent.
It's a really supportive city and a great environment for teen artists.
Chicago is a very, very versatile palette, and everything is there to taste and try to jump into what you like.
The Goodman Theater, located in the North Loops Theater District, prides itself on three principles: quality, diversity, and community. Educational outreach programs such as Play Builders Summer Intensive play an integral role in the development of young performing artists around Chicago.
It's meant to be a place that is safe, where things can be explored. It's not always going to be comfortable, but I mean, that's part of art, because sometimes art needs to be uncomfortable. And just seeing them grow is just the greatest thing.
To see art as not just a way for entertainment, but it's a way to bring about change.
The people who create the art want to start up this discussion. They're already having the discussion amongst themselves because they have to create the art based on something. They have to create the art based on what they're talking about and what's important. It's presented to an audience, and then from that, the audience has a discussion, and they want to talk about it, and they want to do legislative work, and they want to do a grassroots movement. They want to go out and they want to have protests or vigils and do stuff to actively take what they had seen and put that into the real world.
Here, young artists strive to fulfill their goal of entertainment while bringing awareness to important social issues. Their love for theater is strengthened, and at Goodman, they find their voice.
It's a way to connect with other people, and I really enjoy getting to work with other people, so this is sort of a way to do that in a way that's creative and a way that makes other people think and makes me think.
And that's what the most important part, I think, of art is finding something that is in this. Even though you have a story that may seem fictional or non-realistic, everything that is a part of it is something that you can take from that and put into a real-world situation.
That was a very good video. It was really good. Why did you choose this topic to do?
Well, I really care about theater and performing and acting and that aspect. And the Goodman is doing such good work. Like, I recently saw a program there through Albany Park Theater, and it was called Feast, and it was a work devised by teens around Chicago, specifically in Albany Park, about food and culture. And it was just a really interesting experience because you were seeing kids who were 12 working with kids who were 18 to all work together to really understand and delve into a topic. And it was very clear that they had, a real affinity for it. And seeing all these people who loved performing, working together in order to work towards a common goal, which is bringing awareness, specifically in that instance, to food and how that plays a role in culture and people's everyday lives, was just something very interesting to me, especially because at my school, where we have to create a musical. So we have to choreograph it, we have to write it, we have to direct it, we have to perform in it for our senior project. And I'm in charge of the writing portion of it, and so me and my friend Mikkel, who's doing the music, she actually did the beginning of the Focus on Tomorrow jingle thing. We're working together, so seeing that really helped inspire us, and in turn, we hope to inspire other people through that.
That's great. What was the most challenging part of creating this video?
Really just cutting it all down, because people had such interesting things to say, and just finding the way they said it, or just cutting where it should be cut. Really, the editing portion was probably the hardest, because we got such great material. It was kind of hard to really decide which part was relevant and which part wasn't, just based on the mission of the video.
Right. So did you only take care of like the editing, or did you go into like filming and producing the video?
Well, I got in touch with one of the girls, Aria Hawkins, and I was like, hey, can we do this thing? And so I worked with her to set that up, and then people in my group, DJ and Lauren specifically, they came in, helped set up mics, helped set up filming, and I came up with the interview questions, asked them questions. DJ was more in charge of B-roll. Lauren was in charge of just kind of making sure everything went through smoothly. And so I was in charge of editing it, though, because it was my project.
That's good. So would you say that if you had to do all of, if you had to go in and do all the producing, directing, editing, and writing, you would be able to do it?
Yeah, I think Focus on Tomorrow has really helped with that, because Will and other people have showed me how to use Final Cut Pro, and just seeing other people who are so driven about it makes you care more.
What's your end goal? Like, what do you like doing?
I like performing, I like cameras, I like movies. So probably just, I think the film industry is so interesting, and I kind of want to be a part of it. I think the idea that there's a story to tell and that you can reach so many people, because in live theater and in performance, if you don't live in New York, you can't go see a Broadway show unless it's bootleg, and that detracts from performance and performers. And so I think movie musicals have been making a big comeback lately, especially with the last 5 years, Into the Woods, things like that. And it's important for theater to be able to reach a wider audience, and movies seem to be the way to do that.
Earlier you mentioned, when I was talking to you, you mentioned you sing jazz?
Yeah.
Yeah, jazz singer. Do you want to incorporate that into like movie and video making?
I think it's all kind of one. The arts to me they're spread into different genres or whatever, but they really all come together. And I just feel like if you're doing one, you should find a way to incorporate all of them, because that's the way it's the most effective. And if a movie has good art in it, you're going to remember that movie, not because of the art specifically, but because it helped make it better.
What movies have inspired you?
I really loved Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, just because I think it's so beautifully shot, and seeing Jim Carrey in a serious role was something I wasn't prepared for.
Yeah.
And because it explores so much into the mind, and it's science fiction without really being science fiction, that's another movie that kind of spans a lot of genres, and I really enjoyed that. And the soundtrack to it's amazing, because I really like movie soundtracks, so I'll be doing homework or something and listen to it, and I can hear how the story is and how it's supposed to be, and I really loved it.
That's great. What other experiences will you remember from your time at Focus on Tomorrow?
I think just getting to see all the people working in their element, because we're in a classroom, but then you see people working on farmers market things, or working on, bikes or skate parks, and just remembering that there are other things that people are interested in, and seeing people who care about it working on a story to make it come to light and bring awareness to it is something I really enjoy.
I also know that you and your group had like 3 or 2 projects working on at the same time. Why 3 projects at the same time?
Well, we decided focus on tomorrow, Chicago, you know, and you can't really hit Chicago from any one standpoint. So we kind of split it up originally into sports, food, and art. And art was music, theater, and sports was basketball. And food was, we went to this place, Barry's, and that was cool. But it's just kind of how Chicago influences the world, and then in turn how we get influenced by the things we surround ourselves with. And we didn't feel as though we could do it in one video, so we decided to make many videos because we didn't want to have it be a 10-minute video trying to fit everything about Chicago into one thing.
So, you're in high school currently, right? Did you take broadcasting or video film in high school?
No, I didn't. We actually don't have a lot of film classes or anything, which is why I thought this would be a cool program to kind of understand how that works, because I go to Chicago High School for the Arts, and if you're an acting major, you get some on-camera work, how to do video production, how to do sound production if you're a music major, how to animate if you're a artist. But musical theater people don't really get anything because we're trying to work on singing, we're trying to work on dancing, we're trying to work on acting, and there's just not enough time in the day to really get a big, even broader skill set. So I never really got any of that taught to me. We took a theatrical design class, and we kind of worked with sound a lot on that and lighting. So, but because it's a performance-driven program, it was more for live theater than recorded.
What would you say the difference would you say there's a difference or a similarity between video film or live theater and live theaters?
There's definitely a difference because just the energy is so different. We've tried recording like bits of our shows or bits of our rehearsal process just to kind of have a memory of it. And when we do that, just the energy is lower because there's no live audience to kind of spark you up. And when you're performing on a stage, all the lights are on you. It's such an adrenaline rush, and it's kind of hard to get into the mindset when you're sitting in a classroom or when you're not on stage. And so I think it's just a different process and a different way of thinking about it, because when you're on film, you know you can go back and fix things, but when it's live theater, if you make a mistake, that mistake will be there forever. Like we recently had our curtain call, and it was our last showcase, and this girl, one of my best friends, Fia Ringo, she said an entire verse of a song wrong. She took someone else's verse. And the girl whose verse she was singing was kind of like, oh, I have to go right after this and do the exact same thing she just did, but they just switched. She was like, I know Fia's well enough, so I'm just going to do hers. And it worked. And no one knew that we had made that mistake. And we're all like, after the show, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. I can't believe we did that. But no one in the audience knew that. It was just like, oh, this happened. But because we were all backstage like, oh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? We were so nervous about it. The energy for the rest of the show was so high up because we were like, oh, we messed up once. We can't mess up again. But in film, you can do it again. You can do it over. And that's sort of reassuring because you have time to make mistakes. You can explore different things. If you want to try a monologue extra sad, or you want to see what would happen if you try to really smiley and kind of suppressing that emotion, you can do that and you can see which works better. Whereas in live theater, you're not really going to be rehearsing in front of a mirror. You can't really see what your acting choices, what come across well, what comes across not well. It's kind of up to the director to be like, that's not working. But with film, it's really that final product is the final product, whereas theater, if you go one night, you're going to see a completely different show than you do the next.
Right, yeah. So would you say you like the pressure of theater, or you like making mistakes and, you know, going back and fixing it and having reassurance, like you said?
I think it's two different worlds. Like, I don't know how you could compare them. They definitely have the same aspect, but I love that energy of opening night and, you know, not knowing what's going to happen. But then I feel like the best work is done when you know you can go back and change it, and you know you can make mistakes, because if you're on stage and you're singing a song and you hit a wrong note, you're going to remember that performance as being the worst and your least favorite experience, and you're probably not going to sing that song again, because you're going to say, oh, I'm going to mess it up the way I did last time and everyone's looking at me. But then in film, if you sing a song wrong, you're like, oh, okay, I can go back and fix this. This will be okay. And something good might come of it. Also, live theater, you reach a smaller audience. It's the families of the performers. It's the people donating to the organization. But with film, you can like share it on Facebook and be like, hey, check this out. They can share it with their friends. It's just a different medium of expressing the same thing.
Okay. If you were to enroll in the program, what other type of projects would you like to work on?
I don't know. I think I'd probably want to branch out, because I focus mostly on art because that's what I know best. That's what I do. And just being around all these people, like, because I go to an art school, I don't get sports people. We don't have those kids who are in AV club. We don't have those kids who are in French club. We just have artists. And I think being with people who are different in that aspect but still care about art and still care about production is something really interesting. And I think because this was a new experience for me, at first that was enough of a new experience, so I felt comfortable doing art and doing things I was used to. But now that I'm kind of getting in the field of Focus on Tomorrow, I'd probably want to branch out and try something even more different.
So what do you see yourself doing in the future?
I don't know. I love performing, so I'd probably do that for as long as I can. But there's something about knowing how things are going to end up. And when you have a vision for something, like you have a vision for a show, when you know personally you can't pull it off, it's a horrible feeling. Like, if I'm in a show and they need a short Hispanic girl, I know I can't pull that off. I shouldn't be in that position. Whereas if you're directing it, you can find someone perfect for it, and you know they can do it right because that is what they're supposed to do. And I like the control you get from directing a lot.
So you see yourself as a director doing like small
Yes.
videos or theater maybe, or movies?
I just kind of want to be a part of that film industry. And also, I've directed my freshman year. We had to do this project because it was freshman preview, and we kind of had to see what was going on. And I really didn't want to be in the show because I didn't really feel like there was a place for me, because we were just kind of making up characters at this point, and I didn't see a purpose for that. So I talked to my teacher, and I was like, I think this last scene has a lot of issues with it. And she was like, okay, rewrite it then. So it was kind of like, oh, you want a freshman to rewrite this last scene? I'll try. And I rewrote it, and when I finally, and she was like, okay, this is your scene now, direct it. And I was kind of like, oh, that's a lot of pressure. Okay. But then when we were performing it and when we were in dress rehearsals, I sat out in the house, and just seeing people who I work with for 3 hours a day pull something off, and knowing it was my vision was something amazing, because I don't think I could have gone up there and done that. And just seeing other people being able to put their all into it was something really interesting, and I loved that. And that's what I hope to do.
So you mentioned earlier, Broadway in New York. Do you ever see yourself like staying in Chicago or going to New York or Los Angeles, where
Yeah.
the opportunity is just it's right there, as opposed to Chicago where it's you have to fight really to get out
Yeah.
there and stuff?
I think it's one of those things where I would come back to Chicago. I don't
Okay.
think I could start here. I don't feel as though I could have those resources readily available to me. But if you go to LA or go to New York, start getting a base, sort of understand, and then bring what you learn there, learn more things, and bring that back to Chicago, because I think Chicago has so many talented people and so many cool places. Like, if you go to the north side, you're gonna see like parks, and then you come downtown, you're like, oh, green, and I just think it's so diverse that really you could get any feel just depending on what part of the city you
Right.
shot in. And I think that that's something really interesting and really unique to Chicago.
Right. I remember when you did your project, the young man in the that you interviewed, he said, people in Chicago don't only have
Yeah,
how would you say it,
focus.
one focus,
right?
like we write and we direct and we produce. Do you think that's true?
I think that's definitely true, because in Chicago, it's not so much a this is all on me, but it's a why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I write the music for this? Why wouldn't I act in it? Why wouldn't I decide what I want the outcome to be? Whereas in New York, you might be like, oh, other people are better than me. I'm going to let them do that, and I'm just going to focus on one thing. In Chicago, it's kind of a, yeah, I'm going to do everything, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. It may not be great, but I'm still going to do it
Right, you
anyway.
just go out there and
Yeah.
give it a try, and even if maybe it's not for you, you learn from it and
Yeah.
you just get the feel of it. So yeah, I guess that is true. So what college do you plan? Are you planning to go to college?
Yeah, I'm planning to hopefully move out to the West Coast. There's this school, Cal Arts, that is so cool to me. Pixar was founded there, actually, and it's founded by Walt Disney, and it's one of those schools that's just a community of artists, and while it's not all film or it's not all graphic design or something, there's a lot of interdisciplinary work done, and I think that's something interesting that, yeah. Also, I feel like if you go to the East Coast, really the only place where you can get something like that is NYU. And I don't know, if I'm going to go to a state school, I want to go to, one in Illinois.
So you said West Coast, but you're also you're
West
thinking.
Coast. I'm really not sure.
You're not sure. You're open to
Yeah.
ideas.
Yeah. Also, I was thinking maybe of trying to go to Germany or Finland
Oh,
or something,
really?
because schools there are free, and I think it'd be really cool to get that sort of experience.
Well, if you were to go to Germany,
Yeah.
would you take like what would you do? What would you do in Germany?
I don't know, because I'd probably study international business or something while taking film classes, while taking acting classes, just around, because it's such a, like Berlin specifically, is such a cool city. And I don't speak German very well, but I think that would be a pretty interesting thing just to understand how non-Americans do it, because we see like a scope of America does this, the US does this, and viewing that from the outside I think would be really cool.
Yeah. So we have one more minute left on the show. Is there something you just want to mention about Focus on Tomorrow?
It's a cool program.
Yeah, it really is. So Focus on Tomorrow is a nonprofit located in Chicago, Illinois. You could find us on the web at www.focus-on-tomorrow.org, or you could email us at info@focus-on-tomorrow.org. I'm Alma. Thank you, Isabel, for
Thank you.
coming to our show and being part of our program. Hope to see you next time.